this next section is tricky as well. What we're going to do is we're going to program the smaller button and the bigger button so that after your character makes a guess, if the number I have in my head is smaller than the guess, the user's going to click on this one. If the number I have in my head is bigger than the guess, the user's going to click on this one. And I need the code to respond accordingly and apply that binary algorithm and then make a new guess. I also want to keep track of the attempts. Just in case you haven't set this attempts to 0, you might want to do that now by setting the attempts to 0, just in case you haven't done that. That wasn't in the first video, and it should have been. Let's program this is smaller button. So I'm going to make sure I click on the sprite, and I'm going to just double click to make sure that's exactly where I am. Good. And now I'm going to use the when I am clicked, I am going to change the current guess and remake the guess. So when I do that, I want to change the value, because now I know that if I'm clicking this button, my number is between 1 and 500. Not 501, because 501 isn't right. So it's between 1 and 500. So that means I'm changing the high. So I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to set the high to a new number. That new number is going to be the current guess, but it's going to be the guess minus 1, because the current guess is 501, and the highest possible answer is 500. So I'm going to go to operators, and I'm going to drag out the subtraction operator, and I'm going to say it's the current guess, which is 501 minus 1. Let's see if that works. Yep, 500. So now I have reset the high to 500. So the current high is now 500. Now, I also want to increase the attempts because I just made another attempt. So I'm going to change the number of attempts by 1. So the attempts increased by 1 too. And I want the wizard, my character sprite, which in my case is the wizard, to speak again. So I'm going to broadcast a message through the whole program, so I'm sure that the wizard hears it. And I'm going to say, hey, make a guess. So I want the wizard to make a new guess, and the only way this sprite can talk to this sprite is to send a message through the whole program. So now I'm going to go back to my sprite, and I'm going to, my character sprite, the wizard, make sure I'm on the wizard, double check that, and I'm going to tell the wizard that when I get the message, make a guess, I want you, it's under looks, to say another guess. Let's test this code. Let's imagine I pick the number 2. So, pick a number between 1 and 1,000. My number is 2, so my number is lower. Now, is your guess 251? No, it's lower. 126? No, it's lower. 63, it's lower. 32, it's lower. 16, it's lower. Notice my attempts is going up. My guesses are going down. That's exactly what I want to happen. Is it 8? No, it's lower. Is it 4? No, it's lower. Is it 2? Yes, it did it. Now, I want to program the same thing with my up button. So I'm going to make sure, or bigger button, I'm going to make sure I click on the upper button so that the upper button is the button I'm writing the code for. I'm going to check to make sure, yes, that's the button I'm coding. And I'm basically going to do the same thing with the sprite part. So when I'm clicked, and this time, if my number is 999, for example, if it's 999, I now want my guess to be between 502 and 1,000. So that means I'm changing the low. So this time, I'm going to set the low to be a new number. And that number is going to be the guess, which right now is, which right now is 500, and 1. So I know it's not 501, and it's bigger than 501, so that would start it at 502. So I'm going to use the plus 1 in this case. Last time I was minus 1. This time I'm plus 1. And I'm going to say the guess is now, let's just check it. Yep, it's 502. So it's going to be 502 to 1,000. Let's say my number is 998. Let's see if the higher part works. So I click, oh wait, I'm not done. Sorry, it won't work yet. I need to make sure I change the attempts and increase the attempts by 1. And then I also need to broadcast the message that I already made, so I don't need to make a new one. I'll just broadcast that same message to make a guess, and then it will make that guess again. Let's see if it works. Okay, is my guess 501? No, it's 998. Nope, bigger, 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 bigger. Getting close, getting closer. There, it finally has it. So it was able to guess that number using the bigger and smaller. Let's see now if it can guess my number pi, 314, using both buttons. So I'm going to start it off. Good, the attempts resets. And my number between 1 and 1,000, no, 314 is smaller. 499. That was weird. 250, it's bigger. It's 314. 375, it's smaller. 313, it's close. It's bigger. 344, it's smaller. 329, it's smaller. 321, it's smaller. 317, it's smaller. 315, it's smaller. 314, it got it. It took 10 attempts.